I'm so glad that you got to hear my buddy Marcus and our friends from Google this morning talking about AI. That was fantastic. I couldn't agree more. I have been in technology a long time. So long that in 1993, my partners and I, in my very first internet company, we sold the domain name Budweiser.com to Anheuser-Busch Brewing for 50 cases of beer. And we genuinely thought we got the better deal. So I've been in technology a long time, but I have never seen anything like AI. And let me tell you, when I first realized that AI is truly a thing, it's when I saw this quote from Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google, who said, AI is the most profound technology that humanity will ever work on, more than fire or electricity. And that surprised me, because I think we can all agree that over time, fire has proven to be a hugely important invention. And the caveman who trademarked fire, that guy has more money than Gary. I completely agree that AI is non-optional for any of us. I believe that within 1 year from this mega camp, AI and automation will be required to maintain your core business competency. Required. But within 2 years, I think AI and automation will actually cease to be a competitive difference maker. Here's why. Everything that comes along starts out new and then becomes common. Starts out new and then becomes common. Let's take a little trip through history. The way all things start special and become commonplace and commoditized. Back in 1870, the Optimus toilet, the toilet not actually invented by Thomas Crapper, as is commonly thought. This is the Optimus toilet from 1870. This is a magnificent shitter. I mean, it is, look at it. It's so magnificent, they named a transformer after it, which is impressive. Toilets, exceptional then, common now. 1963, the first ATM invented in London. Can you imagine how much your mind would be blown the first time you got currency from a wall? Exceptional then, common now. Fast forward, 1974, first multiple listings service in Long Island, back when you apparently had to wear a suit to use a computer. Changed the whole business. Exceptional then, commonplace now. Gary's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, woohoo! 2003. It's like the Bible if Jesus wrote his own material. Exceptional then, still an incredibly vital book, but many of the concepts and recommendations in that book are widely known and adopted today. Or DocuSign, first adopted by NAR in 2014. Can you imagine this industry without e-signatures? Terrible. Exceptional then, common now. And AI is on the exact same trajectory. Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, said it best. As AI gets more efficient and accessible, we will see its use skyrocket, turning it into a commodity. I could not agree more. So what this means for all of us is you should do everything you heard this morning, and I mean that sincerely. But I also mean this sincerely. You cannot ultimately win with AI. All you can do is keep pace with everybody else. It will not be a differentiator because everybody's gonna do it. So what does that mean? Well, in Shift, one of the key principles, of course, is get more leads. In a shift, you have to get more leads. Well, the best way to get more leads, and this has always been true, the best way to get more leads is for your clients to talk about you. The best way to grow any business is for your clients to do that growing for you. But word of mouth from your clients is actually more important today than it was yesterday. It will be even more important tomorrow. It will be steadily more important for every day that you draw breath on this planet. Because actual word of mouth, a human being making a recommendation, making a referral to another human being out of their food hole, that is the only thing that AI can't fake. The only thing. Word of mouth will steadily grow in importance. But we have to remember a really important thing. Competency does not create conversations. Being good at your job does not spur people to tell their friends about you. They expect you to be competent. You're in this room. They expect you to be good. And some of this is just brain science. Nobody is going to tell their friends. Nobody is going to tell their friends about the highly efficient chatbot experience they just had. They're not going to talk about that because it's not a story. All human beings are wired the same way in their head. Wired to ignore the things that we expect and then discuss what is different. So this whole idea of lead gen in a time of shift is how can you be different? Because different gets talked about. So my recommendation to you is this. When everybody is zigging with automation, you need to also zag by keeping it real. Keeping it real. So Jason asked me, he said, Jay, talk to Mega Agent Camp about branding. Okay, I think Jeff Bezos said it best. Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. Your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. What you want, what you need, what you must have is for people to say, when you're not around, that they cannot believe how human you are. They can't believe how human you are. Look, research bears this out. Yelp did an analysis of hundreds of thousands of 5-star restaurant reviews. And they discovered that 1,300% more reviews mention people than mention food. If you go to a restaurant, food is kind of the whole point, but people don't write reviews, certainly not 5-star reviews, about the food. They write them about the people. They write them about the human element. And in your business, those people are you. You are the people. The people make the difference. The people create the conversations. The human-to-human recommendations is where those leads are going to come from. Starbucks has understood this for a long time. As I'm sure you remember, for many, many, many years, they would write your name on the cup, yeah? You'd walk in and say, hey, I need a venti dark roast, no room for Oliver. And then invariably, you would get this. It's like, so close. How is it possible my name is all over? But okay, whatever. Partially because of this and partially because of efficiency and the pandemic, they, as you may remember, went away from handwriting on the cups. And then it was like a little sticker that they printed out of the computer. A lot less human, a lot less personal. And then, of course, Starbucks pursued a lot of mobile apps and drive-thrus. And now they have reversed all of that. They brought the handwritten cups back because it's more personal. Just 2 weeks ago, they announced plans to cancel all of their pickup-only locations. Why? Their new CEO, Brad Nickel, explains, pickup-only locations lack the warmth and human connection that defines our brand. Delta Airlines, also on the same trajectory. I fly Delta a lot, including yesterday to get here. Every time I fly Delta, I get an email after the fact, and the email used to always be this. It was from Delta Airlines, and the email address was letusknow@delta.com. The subject line every time, Jason Charles, your feedback is requested, which feels a little fancy, actually. Nobody calls me Jason Charles except for Delta Airlines and my mom. That's the list. That's literally the whole list. But just a couple weeks ago, they changed this. Now it says, Jason Charles, how'd we do? Which feels more personal, feels more human. And the email itself is not from the airline, it's not from the logo, it's from Eric at Delta, eric@delta.com. And this is not a fake person. It is Eric Snell, who's the Chief Customer Experience Officer for Delta Airlines. All of these organizations are, in the face of increasing AI and automation, adding humanity back into their operations. So the question for today, for every day, the question for each and every one of you is this: how can you support humankind? I'm going to share 3 ways with you today. The first way that you can support humankind is by being more personal. Being more personal. Find ways to add the personal touch into your clients' experiences with you. Because in an era of increasing automation, those personal touches are going to fade away in big sections of our lives. If you can be the one that keeps it real, you will stand out and differentiate accordingly. Perhaps the best company in the world at this is pet supplier Chewy.com. They don't have a structural advantage. They sell pet supplies, as do many people. They have a large selection, as do all their competitors. They have low prices, but not the lowest prices. But Chewy is the most successful business in their category, not because of selection, not because of prices, but because they are the most personal. If you unfortunately lose a pet and you send a note to Chewy and say, unfortunately, my dog Bailey has passed away, I have an unopened bag of dog food, can I return it? Chewy always says, no, please don't. Donate it to a local animal shelter. Chewy employs a staff of 1,011 freelance oil painters, artists all around the US. Their team will stalk you online. They will find a picture of your pet, send it to the local artist. They will paint an oil painting of your deceased pet, send it to you, overnight shipping with a handwritten condolences note. This is what it feels like to get one of those boxes.
Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
Gets me every time. Becca is presumably going to have another pet in her life. What are the chances that she ever buys pet supplies from any other business in the rest of her life? 0%. What are the chances that she tells every single person she knows about this? And it creates all kinds of net new leads for Chewy.com. 100%. That's personal. My friend Glenn Gorab is an oral surgeon. I forgot to mention this. This whole idea that, hey, maybe what we're doing with AI and what Jay's talking about with humanity are divorced or different or unhinged in some way. Not at all. I asked GPT, tell me the dimensions of the Chewy.com brand. And it literally talks about the exact story I just showed you, that they send bereavement flowers and handwritten notes and that they're the kindest, most human, most personal brand. AI already knows about it. So this idea that AI is not going to know about your personal human touches is wrong. It will know. So this strategy works together with what you learned about this morning. So my friend Glenn Gorab is an oral surgeon in Clifton, New Jersey. So he operates in the New York, one person from Clifton right here, shocking. The best realtor in Clifton. He's in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, kind of tri-state, whatever. Last time I did the research, there are 435 oral surgeons in that trade region, which is a lot of competition. And, they all do the same thing. It's not like some oral surgeons have this magic tooth laser or something. It's a pretty well-established practice. And they all charge basically the same. A lot of it's insurance or Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. Nobody's running the saveonmouthsurgery.com playbook, as far as I know. So how do you pick an oral surgeon? Well, usually it's geography-based. Who's pretty close to your house, who's pretty close to your office, that kind of thing. Maybe you do a little Google search, whatever. But not Glenn. He is the highest rated oral surgeon out of all 435. And the last time I spoke to him, even though he's in his mid-60s now, he's the only one who's been in practice for more than a few years who's never been sued. It's a highly litigious form of medicine, apparently. The only one. So I asked him, I said, Glenn, you clearly are the best oral surgeon for 3 states. No, I'm not. Well, then why do you have the best business? Because he's the most personal. Every Friday, his office staff gives him a list of names and numbers. He just calls them Saturday morning on his cell phone. This is Glenn. I'm your oral surgeon, and I understand that you're coming to the office for the very first time next week. And before you get here, I just wanted to know if you have any questions that I could answer. Mind blower. Now, looking around here, I think most of us are old enough to have had some kind of oral surgery procedure in your life, right? You had your wisdom teeth out or an extraction or a root canal or whatever. And if you had a good surgeon, and I hope that you did, they'll call you after. You know what I'm talking about? Like, hey, Jason, how's it going? How you doing, man? How's the pain? Are you bleeding to death? Those are usually the questions you get. And it's nice to hear that, nice to get that call, but they've already cut you open and took your money. It's kind of like the lowest common denominator at that point. But I suspect that none of you have ever had a physician of any kind call you before you ever set foot in the office to ask if you have any questions. It's simply not done. But it should be done. Glenn tells me that 75% of his patients mention this call when they're in the chair. They're tipped back. He's got his hands in their mouth, and they're like, oh, thanks so much for calling me, doc. And every day, they get new leads from people who say, I got to drive way out of my way. I've got to pass up 3 other oral surgeons that are closer, but I want you to be my surgeon because you're the one who called my friend Jason before he ever came to the office. If you're going in for oral surgery, one thing I can promise you, you have questions. If you're looking to perform any kind of real estate transaction on the buy or sales side, I can promise you that you have questions. And so instead of making them carry these questions around until the appointment, like in an anxiety fanny pack, he takes that stress away. And importantly, instead of just having an FAQ on his website, which you should definitely do also, but instead of just having that, the dentist himself calls you personally on his cell phone. That's personal. It applies in this business too. I'm thinking about moving to Fort Collins, Colorado. Wow, okay. Market opportunity. Thinking about moving to Fort Collins, and I found a realtor there. His name is Mike. He actually has been to Mega EduCamp several times. And I was just there, literally last week. We're putting in an offer today, as a matter of fact. And I was there last week, and before I came out, he said, well, do you like the home that you're in now, which is this home in Indiana? I said, yeah, we actually love the house. We're just thinking about changing cities. So he took this, looked up all the old photos and the specs of my current home, and then matched it to similar properties in Fort Collins before I came out. Now, I realized, as you did a little bit earlier this morning, that he could have done that in 5 seconds using Google Gemini. I don't have the heart to tell him that because he did this manually, but I very much appreciated it, and it made a huge impact on me, and that's personal. So I ask you, think about this. How can you be more personal than you've ever been when faced with a climate where everybody tells you you should be more automated than you've ever been? The answer is both. Second way that you can support Humankind is by being more patient. Being more patient. Yes, it's important to be fast. I wrote a whole book about it recently called The Time to Win. But sometimes being slow is better than being fast. This is Sobeys, which is a grocery store in Edmonton, Alberta. They have some other locations in Canada, as I understand it. They have a slow lane in the grocery store. It is literally called the slow lane. And it's for people who want to just come and chat with the checkout person about weather, their kids, fishing, etc. Not for everybody, but for those who want it, they love it. This is from their head of commercial who says, we're proud of our staff that want to work the chat checkout. They really want to help people and make contact with them. It's a small gesture, but it's a valuable one, particularly in a world that is more digital and faster. My mom would love a slow checkout. 85% of the contacts on my mom's phone are people that she met on a plane. Headphones don't matter, she'll keep talking. Reading a Kindle, doesn't care. If my mom could buy groceries and have a conversation with somebody at the same time, jackpot. Customer for life. That's patient. At Auburn University, they have this phone line. Shout out, War Eagle. They have this phone line that's been in place continuously since 1952. It's open 7 to 7, 7 days a week. They staff it with students. And it's essentially Google for people that don't have the internet. They get tens of thousands of questions every year about all kinds of stuff. These are actual questions, okay? Actual questions. This one. How many packets of gravy would be needed to fill the football stadium? And they can't just hang up on people. They have to answer. Doesn't matter how long it takes them. They've got a bunch of computers there to look it up. And of course, the first follow-up question is, well, how big's the packet? This is absurd, right? There's another real question. How do mountain climbers get down once they've reached the top? To which I thought, are you calling from the top of a mountain right now? Like, this is information you should have sussed out long before now. This one is fantastic also. What do I do if there's a snake in the house? One thing I would not do is take the time to call a phone line. That's like 37th on my list of priorities in that scenario. And this one melts my heart. Let's do this one together. Can we just chat together for a while? That's patient. So I was telling you about my buddy Mike from Fort Collins, and we were on tours last weekend, looking at homes, and it ran a little long, and at the end of the day, he had to meet a different couple to let them look at one of his listings. And he said, Jay, would you mind tagging along? And I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm happy to see it. They're looking for a different thing. And so we're there, and they were looking all around this listing. It was a really nice house, and Mike had to go to a baby shower, actually his own baby shower. I'm like, yeah, you should go. This is not gonna end well for you if you missed your own baby shower, I can promise you that. And they were still really enjoying looking at the listing. And so I watched this happen. He walked over to them and said, take all the time you need. Just lock the door. And I said, you're just gonna leave them in this listing? And he said, the longer they spend imagining themselves living here, the more likely they are to make an offer. Didn't rush him out, didn't even mention he had a baby shower. That's patient. So think about this. How can you be more patient than you've ever been in an era that's telling you you've got to be faster than you've ever been? Because if we're trying to create a differentiator, if we're trying to use humanity as the way you get people to talk about you, sometimes slow beats fast. Third way that you can support humankind is by being perceptive. By being perceptive, by seeing around corners, by predicting what people are going to want from you. And perception often requires empathy. And the definition of empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. To be able to walk a mile or a kilometer in their shoes. I was doing some work recently with TD Bank, actually in Canada. And TD used to have this program until recently where if you had a mortgage with them and you completed your mortgage, they would send you an email that said, your mortgage has been completed and we have, per your agreement, deducted $250 from your account as a mortgage dispensation fee. And that's a real kick in the nuts. You've paid off your house, now give us more money via email. Somebody at TD realized that that is not very perceptive. That is not embracing and understanding and sharing the feelings of another person. That this is a moment for celebration, not for penalty. So now, they place a personal phone call from the branch manager, set up a one-on-one appointment at the branch. They congratulate you on completing your mortgage, and now they give you a $250 Visa gift card. Exactly. Now, does that cost them $500 per transaction? Yes. Instead of gaining $250, they lose $250. But the branding benefit of that, the relationship capital of that, the word of mouth benefit of that is worth far more than $500. That's perceptive. Sometimes when we think about perception, what we really mean is just reading the room, just understanding like what's the appropriate way to handle this situation. That's why my friend Phil M. Jones' work around exactly what to say is so vital, because it's about what to say in a particular scenario, not just in general, but in a particular scenario. I'll tell you a story about this. My friend Chris Rund lives in Bloomington, Indiana, where I live now. And Chris is a graphic designer. And maybe because he's a graphic designer, or maybe just a poor decision maker, or both, he has in his home all white carpet, wall to wall, snow white, both floors, like he's Jay-Z. Like, what is this all about? It's crazy. Why would you have white carpet, especially in Indiana? It rains, it snows, and even more so because he has a cat. Who has a cat here? Raise your hand. Wow. Okay, let's do that one more time. Who has a cat? Raise your hand. All right. Keller Williams friggin' hates cats. That's That is my research for today. Wow. Holy cow. And it's everybody in this section too, which is really weird. US national average, 29% of households. Mega Agent Camp, 2.9% of households. So weird. All right. The rest of you know what a cat is though, right? Like you know, like you're familiar, you've got a premise, like you've been around maybe or something. Yeah, you'll figure it out, you're smart. So Chris has got this cat, right? And the thing about cats is they don't care about us. It's not like dogs, it's like a roommate situation, typically. And they also don't walk, they strut, right? They got a lot of attitude, or they would probably call it catitude. And then all cats, I presume, like since Egyptian times, do this one nifty trick. Out of nowhere, with literally no warning whatsoever. And then, like nothing even happened. You should do something about that. Assholes, all of them. So Chris has a cat, I have a cat, like 12 of you have cats. Chris decides, white carpet, Chris decides to send an email to the Meow Mix brand cat food company, which is the food that he feeds his cat, asking them, without irony, to only make the food in neutral colors. And he heard nothing back. But Chris is that guy, right? Some of you know that guy. Some of you are that guy. Chris is the guy who was like, I'm not taking no for an answer, man. I'm going to take this public. So he goes on their Facebook page where they have 4.5 million fans, and he leaves this note in public, word for word. Listen, this is what he wrote.
Dear Meow Mix, cats throw up pretty regularly. I figured you guys would realize this, being cat experts and all. With this in mind, why do you insist on putting dyes in your products that cause ruined carpets, furniture, etc.? You know, when Kitty spews her half-digested meow yuck all over the place. Seriously, my cat doesn't give a shit what your product looks like in a bowl, and neither do I. What would be helpful and appreciated by legions of cat owners, I'm guessing, is if you take the worthless dyes out of your product and save us all a lot of frustration and ruined fabrics.
Chris is upset. Somewhat surprisingly, Meow Mix responds in public in front of as many as 4.5 million people. Here's what they said.
Hi, Chris. All Meow Mix products are made with nutritious quality ingredients that meet the standards and specifications of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, Association of American Feed Control Officials, AAFCO, and the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. If you have further questions, our Consumer Affairs team will be able to help you. You can reach them at 1-877-MEOW-MIX, 877-636-9649, or by visiting meowmix.com and clicking the Contact Us link at the bottom of the page.
Raise your hand if you now feel better about Meow Mix. Fewer than have cats. They made a classic mistake. Everything they said was true. That's 100% factually accurate. But it is absent of humanity. It is absent of perception. They did not read the room. Yes, information is incredibly important in this AI age, but sometimes people don't care about the information. They just want you to say, man, I'm sorry, that sucks. Conversely, there's a business called Wink, which has a frozen dessert concoction. You might find it in the case next to the Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs, whatever, but it's way different. Because it's fat-free, soy-free, sugar-free, nut-free, carb-free, pleasure-free. I don't know, man. Like, there's food allergies in my family, so I understand why this product exists. But I tried it so that you don't have to, and it's basically like air that vaguely tastes like something. It's a little weird, and that was made clear by one of their fans who left this little present on their Facebook page. Again, this is in public.
I just bought this hoping to be able to enjoy some ice cream while on a low-carb diet. Too bad this ice cream, I put it in quotes because it tastes nothing like ice cream other than being cold, is absolutely disgusting. I got the cocoa dough version, and literally licking the freezer-burnt ice shavings from inside the freezer would probably taste better than this. It's definitely going back to the store for a refund.
1 star, not a fan. But Wink understands that every interaction with every client in every situation is an opportunity to support humankind. It's an opportunity to be perceptive. It's an opportunity to be empathetic. Here's what they said, word for word, in public.
Hey, we're sorry to hear this random musings. While Wink is definitely not ice cream, we do aim for an ice cream-like experience. The creator of Wink is a 25-year-old named Gabe who has celiac disease and dairy intolerance. We do recommend letting your pint sit out for a few minutes before you dig in. If the store you purchased Wink in gives you trouble with the refund, please let us know. While we hope that everyone will love and enjoy Wink as much as we do, we realize that not everyone will. If we can help, please send us an email to info@winkfrozendesserts.com. And thanks for giving Wink a try.
Raise your hand if you feel better about the Wink Company. Ta-da! That's perceptive. I was telling you about my buddy Mike in Fort Collins. He said, Jay, this is after I left, he said, Jay, if you're serious about maybe moving to Fort Collins, you should know what's going on. Bought my wife and I a digital subscription to the local newspaper, thinking I would want to know what's happening. How simple, how easy, how perceptive, how good at understanding what I would want to know next. That's perceptive. So let's think about this. How can you be more perceptive? How can you be more predictive? How can you be more empathetic than you've ever been? In a world of robots, the human touch becomes noticeable, memorable, and talkable. More than ever, the human touch will stand out. Your clients are clearly your best source of leads, but they have to need, want, demand to tell your story. AI and efficiency isn't a story that customers yearn to tell. It's going to be table stakes. You have to do it in order to stay in business. In this age of automation, the real differentiator is in keeping it real. So the question today and every day is, how can you do this? Let's be personal. Let's be patient. Let's be perceptive. Together, if you and me and everybody here focuses on how we can support humankind, we will win. Look, I understand a lot of us are thinking about how can we just survive this shift. We're nervous, we're concerned, I get it. But when everybody else is doing automation, if we just focus on being the best humans, it will stand out. In a world of robots, just be the best person. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.